Everyone, it's Cheddar Takasuki here, and today I'll be reading a saiouma fanfic called Cooking with Saiouma. It is by. Man, I can't find the person who made it. 1 minute. Um, it's on Archive of Our Own, and if I can find the creator, I will probably say it. Oh, it's and the creator is Gay but okay. Summary: Kurumi's gotten sick, meaning somebody else has to cook dinner tonight. Thankfully, Monokuma paired up to the two boys that low-key, high-key have a crush on each other. Also, spaghetti. And since Tojo has fallen ill, the robotic bear sneered towards the class. Kokichi's typical smirk was not adorned, and rather he looked more scared. Even the ultimate Even the supreme leader was being honest. He never learned how to cook before, growing up in Dice. And especially since he was the leader, he was used to everybody usually cooking for him. But now, what was he meant to do when he was the one cooking for somebody else? He couldn't even scramble an egg without being confused. Shuichi had a similar fear inside of him as well, especially since he was never the one for being outgoing enough in his class to be comfortable alone with most of them. Even being with Kaede, Kaito, and Maki was challenging sometimes, as he would always secretly want to be entirely alone. He liked being in groups of 3 or 4, seeing that those rare situations that he only had to wait for the other people, he was starting to talk. Wait, he was with to start talking before he could be forgotten and be able to leave. As he heard Monokuma say those words, he clung his fingertips onto his hat, shoving it further towards the ground as to hide his face. Kokichi looked around the room at the expressions of everybody else, trying to guess who Monokuma would force to be in charge of their food. This school was super weird. Very, very super weird. Their teachers were robotic bears, their principal was yet another robotic bear, and they only had to work on their talents to graduate. However, he couldn't do much while he was there. So he typically just tried to bother people and claim it as it was to perfect his talent. Bullshit. He was just bored. His favorite to bother was honestly Shuichi. If it was Kaito, it was Kaito for a while, but Kaito was pretty annoying to look at. Kokichi just hated his hair so much. And Kaito was always around Maki, who was quite literally wanted to kill him. So that wasn't fun. Mew and Kiba were also very fun to annoy for a while but after a while Mew's sexual jokes actually made Shuichi very uncomfortable. Kiba just stopped being fun after a while, as Kokichi needed variety in those that he bullied. But now his favorite to pick on was undeniably Shuichi. Shuichi was so fun to play with. He always reacted, he always got angry or annoyed. And Kokichi was always entertained as he walked away. It felt like another slap in Maki and Kaito's faces to know that he was able to piss off their best friend and to live in Shuichi's head rent-free. Unfortunately for Shuichi, Kokichi has been living in his head for a while rent-free. Shuichi didn't know how or why, but he accidentally caught feelings for the Supreme Leader a while back. It wasn't anything that he meant to do, and as a matter of fact, Kokichi wanted his crush to go away. For a myriad of reasons. For starters, it would be hard explaining to, I think it's supposed to say hard. It would be hard explaining to Kaito and Kaede and Maki that he liked their sworn enemy, and that the conversation that he knew would not blow over so well. Shuichi wanted to be able to tell Kokichi to stop his teasing, but there was just something that he loved about the proud smile across his face when he left the room. Lastly, Kokichi was just out of his reach. They lived different lives, and that's that. Oma and Saihara have been pissing me off the most, so those two get to cook. Yuck, yuck, yuck. And Monokuma was out. Kokichi grinned to himself, realizing how lucky he was. Realizing how his luck really came into play. Now he really could annoy the detective. Yuck, 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 indeed. As the class started to give out their collective sighs of relief, Kokichi decided to grow up a bit and go talk to Shuichi first. He knew that Shuichi was most definitely going to be angry, and that was just what Kokichi wanted to hear. This was going to be so hilarious. As he took his strides to the detective, he let his smirk come back onto his face. This was exciting. He was going to play his favorite game, annoy Shuichi Saihara until he couldn't handle it no more. It starts to literally get angry because it's so funny and honestly kind of cute. And especially when everyone else yells at Kokichi. And nah, Kokichi didn't like the last part very much. As he pretended to be into the whole we hate Kokichi Oma game, it did kind of hurt sometimes to be called untalented or a mistake. That hit really hard. Oh well, time to forget about life's issues and annoy Shuichi. It was way easier to pardon those thoughts. At least for now, and worry later. Shuichi didn't want to believe his poor luck, paired with Kokichi. After he just thought about they never being actually be a pair, this was super exhausting. But it was something that the detective was starting to grow used to. His luck always been piss poor, so this was just another example. He patiently waited for Kokichi to come forward, as he knew Kokichi would sooner than later. Hey, Saihara. Guess we're gonna be cooking buddies, huh? Asked Kokichi. He gave a smile that read, "Aren't I so nice?" Though he looked so innocent, he was lying, obviously. He was going to play nice for a while, gain his trust, then snap, annoying time. Or that was the plan at least. Shuichi was entirely prepared for the day of torture. However, this could probably result in some type of bullying, then some type of lying apology. That he could see though, and finally would end with an embarrassing taunt that would somehow make its way back to the rest of the class. Then Kokichi started speaking to him. Shuichi let his fate sink in as he awkwardly looked to the side. I guess one could say that. Shouldn't we get this done? Shuichi had a hard time speaking regardless, and when speaking with somebody that he wasn't really in the mood to deal with, it only got worse. Kokichi happily started up at the taller male. His smile just growing more genuine and happy as he looked at him. A plan started to dwell in the back of his mind. If he could annoy Shuichi, then maybe Shuichi would maybe decide to be his friend? Out of pure annoyance? Kokichi really wanted to befriend the detective, but it was mainly because of the humor of being able to annoy someone to the point that they had to befriend him. Honestly, Kokichi did want to go about it a more genuine way, but that was unrealistic. Shuichi was only attached to the Kokichi Hate Club to ever see Kokichi as more than an annoyance. Well, what are we waiting for, Shumai? Let's go cook. Kokichi started calling Shuichi Shumai because it was so funny to him. It was also kinda nice to have a nickname for somebody that wasn't insulting. He felt special. Except I really suck at cooking. Oh, I hope Sahara can help me. He stayed with an innocent gleam in his eyes. I think that's also supposed to say said, but hey, we're gonna deal with it. Shuichi could only cringe at the false innocence Kokichi was giving him, but he nevertheless decided to continue with his shift. After all, he didn't want to trust Kokichi alone with food. Who knows what secret drugs that bride is hiding? Please, don't call me that. I'm not the best at cooking either. Shuichi decided to take a more friendly approach, as he knew Kokichi just wanted that reaction out of him again. And that was not something he would be providing today. Kokichi pouted, his face starting to look like a lost puppy. Oh man, I was really looking forward to you teaching me, Ichi. There's a lot that you know, and I thought that you're the smartest guy here would tell me all about cooking. He taunted. He liked to compliment Shuichi, as weird as the weird face he could make was when being complimented by the best liar in the world was priceless. Then Shuichi heard Kokichi call him the smartest guy in the world. His eyebrows furrowed as his eyes shot open. This was the face Shuichi was hoping for. I think that's supposed to say Kokichi. I don't know. I'm not the smartest. Kokichi simply giggled and as he opened up the door to the kitchen. I know. I was just messing with you, Shumai. The words Kokichi said simply made Shuichi groan. But it was stopped when Kokichi spoke again. Come on, ladies first. Shuichi rolled his eyes. at the insult before stepping inside the kitchen. Shuichi walked in behind Shuichi. Kokichi walked in behind Shuichi, his smile remaining innocent and childlike. He was very curious to how Shuichi would react to the situation. So he decided to play I'm Kokichi Oma, and I'm a sweetheart in disguise card. I've always wanted to learn how to cook. Hey, maybe you and I will be good at this. The supreme leader of all evil, and some Nancy Drew wannabe, making a beautiful meal. Shuichi turned away from Kokichi, trying to ignore the insults once more. If he had to give Kokichi any credit, it would to be that his insults were at least funny. It was better than being called a loser, so it was a tad bit better. What should we make? Shuichi timidly asked. Kokichi looked around the kitchen for a cookbook, but alas, Kurumi didn't need one, so there wasn't any. I can try to remember something. Okay. What is literally the most basic? He cut himself off when he noticed a book in the corner. Bingo. Hey, Shumai, go look over there. He pointed at the book. Go get us a recipe. Shuichi reluctantly walked across the kitchen to grab the cookbook. He started to turn through the pages, though as he thought of things, he already knew how to cook, but nothing came to mind. All that he knew was Kokichi's gaze was like lasers beaming into the back of his head. And it scared him, to be honest. He looked up to Shuichi upon seeing a page that with barely any difficulty, we could make spaghetti. Kokichi didn't know shit about food, but boiling water seemed easy enough. As if he was being honest, there was something about pasta that made him very happy. It was how easy it was to throw. Oh, Shima is so smart! Kokichi smiled to Shuichi, then running to the cabinets in the kitchen. Where to find the pasta? Here! He pointed at the top of the shelf with a groan. Crew Mom's so tall, so high up. You'll have to get it. Shuichi nodded with a sigh as he put down the cookbook. It walked to the cabinet, pulling down the container of pasta and giving it to Shuichi. Find some pots. I'll go get some water and we can cook it. Kokichi did as told, locating around 5 different pots and placing them one by one on the counter. There were 16 people to be fed, plus he liked to play with his food and throw it at people as much as possible. They were going to need a lot to get this dinner working. Kokichi poured all the water into the pots, then placing them on the stovetop and turning up the heat. This will take a while. Kokichi walked beside him, trying to turn on the other pot's heat. However, they both reached for the same knob, and their hands made contact for a second. Well, Shuichi and Kokichi both pulled their hands back, but Kokichi eventually reached out again to turn up the heat. So many thoughts ran through Kokichi's head in that moment. what to say to Sayara, how to convey the thoughts he was having. His mind was still racing over his reaction to the short contact. He somehow never actually touched Shuichi before, but that made him realize something deep inside of himself. Was he only messing with Shuichi to piss him off, or was he playing these games to get more time to talk with the detective? He never given the matter much thought, but in this moment, Kokichi had an idea that he was starting to develop feelings for Shuichi. If he didn't already, it was enough to force him to break character, and his cascade started to show, as he became more of a normal kid, less than his supreme leader of all evil self. Yeah, what do you want to talk about? Well, it's cooking. Kokichi took a small step towards Shuichi, but tried to hide it by making it very, very small. He wanted to brush against the detective once more, and just to see how it went. But he was preparing comebacks and taunts just in case the situation didn't go his way, as that was his nature. Shuichi shrugged, looking off to the side. That slight brush against Kokichi felt amazing for him as well. And it was a nice little first touch. He recognized the innocence in the situation, even going so far as to blush slightly and become flustered with his speech. I'm fine talking about anything, unless you have something specific to talk about. Kokichi knew exactly what he wanted to do. He just wanted to hold Shuichi's hand again, just to make sure it wasn't a false alarm in his heart. His hands looked so soft, and there was something oddly charming about the weird outlines of his short, weak nails. Kokichi really wanted to find a way to get to that. He knew it. Oh, can I show you something Arami-chan did for you? Kokichi held out his hands, both hands with purple fingernails, the ring finger on each black and white. You can touch my hand to see him up close if you'd like. I think they're really pretty. He was so proud of his nail polish. But also, his not so slight effort to get Kokichi to hold his hand again. Shuichi recognized the effort's true intention, but had no problem ensuring that this was what he thought it was, and shyly reached out to hold Kokichi's pale hand. Shuichi simply smiled before speaking again, his face turning a shade more pink. Rentaro is very good at painting nails. They look nice. They suit you. Oh my god. You really think so? Kokichi happily exclaimed, jumping up and down as he did so. Yeah. Shuichi let go of the boy's hand, mainly because his jumping made it harder to hold on to them. Shuichi turned away directly after, using his hat again to hide his flushed face. Kokichi groaned as Shuichi turned away from him, reaching out his arm to Shuichi's shoulder and pulling him back around. Kokichi's mind was racing at a mile a minute. his heart was doing the same. He knew that there was nothing he wanted more than to feel happiness and all that throughout his body. That his hand was giving him, and he really wanted to hug Shuichi and see what it felt like. Alas, Kokichi decided to wait until Shuichi made some sort of move to try to hug him. Though, the way his eyes looked, that was no lie. He gave Shuichi a look that was surprisingly vulnerable and innocent, as could be. He managed to maneuver himself into a position that got him looking into Shuichi's eyes, as he gave the first genuine look to Shuichi. Shuichi noticed that Kokichi was being genuine with him in this moment, and that didn't mean he was any less scared of the type of commitment. Of this type of commitment. He was scared of being heartbroken, and that was something that Kokichi seemed like the type to do. Shuichi realized that this was the real Kokichi. No lies, no games, no annoyance. He recognized himself falling deeper, but yikes. This was Kokichi Oma, the hardest person to get along with ever. This was absolutely terrifying. The moment as tense as they simply looked into each other's eyes and began recognizing the mutual attraction towards each. Sorry. Recognizing the mutual attraction, though neither party wanted to make the first move. Quite yet. Kokichi didn't want to out of fear, as this was the first time he was genuine with someone in a while. Kokichi felt scared. Shuichi felt scared as well, but he knew it was a fear of eventually being hurt by Kokichi. But though he didn't know if that would actually happen, Kokichi tried to think of a way to hug Shuichi, any excuse, any way to get himself in Shuichi's arms. He decided there was no way around it. He needed to hug Shuichi now. He simply latched himself onto Shuichi's torso, deciding that if Shuichi was uncomfortable, he'd just say it was a lie and run away. Shuichi didn't squirm, or even move a muscle. He simply let Kokichi hold on to him, until eventually hugging him back. It was a small gesture, but it felt amazing to be held. And to hold someone. He felt like he cracked the case of Kokichi Oma in a way. And somehow gotten him to be honest, to be his honest self. Kokichi just wanted to stay like that for a while longer. To just cuddle into Shuichi, just holding on to him. He now realized why so many people randomly hugged a detective. He was really good at it. He felt a bit prideful. However, as Kaede, Kaito, Maki, and whoever else hugged the detective, didn't get this loving embrace back. Suck it, Momota. Kokichi stood there holding on to him in silence. There was something severely therapeutic about the hug. And he started to grow happy that the pair were chosen. After a few more awkward moments in the hug, Kokichi let go and inched himself towards the pots of now boiling water, putting the dry noodles and gesturing to the cookbook. We should do that now. Shuichi simply nodded, and walking towards the fridge, taking out the ingredients for the sauce. As he made it, he didn't know what to expect from Kokichi, but he was pleasantly surprised to see that Kokichi was helping him and trying to be helpful. It was a nice contrast to his usual attitude. It felt refreshing to see. Sorry, I was checking how much I had. After they finished making the food, they had a bit of time left and decided to stay together. It was a non-verbal agreement, but they both had unfinished business as far as they were concerned. When facing Shuichi, looking into his eyes, this confirmed all Kokichi's thoughts. He needed to tell Shuichi. He could always just say it was a lie later, which everyone would believe. Though something in Shuichi's eyes reminded him of his own. Sahara? I, He tried to look away from Shuichi, but he couldn't. He just looked into the detective's eyes with an honest expression. You? Shuichi was entirely ready for some kind of insult, as Shuichi was quite known for compelling talk being nice, and randomly biting like a snake, though. Kokichi wasn't being his normal self. He was being a normal teen instead. Okay, Kokichi's actually not a teenager last time I checked, but hey, it's fine. I think, you know, I think, I think we both know what's going on here, don't we, Shumai? Kokichi asked, causing Shuichi to turn red again. Wait, where the hell's my computer? Did it fall? Yep, sorry, I got distracted. Kokichi asked, causing Shuichi to turn red once again. We both know. What are you talking about? Shuichi asked. His worried expression meeting his face once again. Were all the feelings true? Kokichi groaned in annoyance as part of his normal personality started to flood back into him, his childlike annoyance. Ugh, Shumai, this is so stupid sometimes. I'm trying to say we both like each other, like each other. Shuichi blinked, confusion filling his mind as he drew a blank. Whatever the hell that means. Wait. You want to be in a relationship? With me? Kokichi, this isn't a funny lie. I never said it was a lie, buttface. Kokichi huffed as he turned away, mainly for dramatic effect. I wanted Shumai to love me. Turns out he hates me after all. How mean of you to play with my feelings. Shuichi shook his head instinctively, reaching out to turn Kokichi around to face him. Wait, no, are you serious? Are you really asking a liar to be honest? Jeez, detective, you're acting like an idiot. He tried to be himself, but the facade was not working well. He felt himself breaking. Damn, Shuichi did all this to him? Huh. Shuichi huffed, nodding his head. Fine, yes, I'm asking you to be honest. Just this once. This isn't funny, Kokichi. Speak for yourself. This is hilarious for me. Kokichi laughed a bit more at Shuichi's flustered and blushing expression. What's wrong, Shumai? What's wrong? Did I Kokichi was cut off by something he never expected. Shuichi's lips. Shuichi had gotten a sudden burst of confidence from the slight idea that Kokichi may like him back, and he decided to kiss him. And there to be sure, if it didn't work out, and it was a lie, that would be for future Shuichi to worry about. He wasn't thinking clearly. Kokichi thankfully kissed him back. But they weren't expecting. What the hell? Kokichi was Kaito to walk in. Kaito had realized they were a bit late with the food and decided to make sure that nothing wrong was happening. He wanted to make sure Kokichi hadn't killed Shuichi yet. But this was not what he expected. Shuichi pulled back instantly, hearing Kaito's voice. Much to Kokichi's disappointment. Oh man, don't Kokichi, shut up. What the hell is going on in here? Kokichi shrugged, gesturing to the food. I don't know. You should have figured that one out, idiot. Stop calling me in. Anyways, food's over there. Go feed the masses before they start rotting. We'll catch up later. Kaito growled before walking out, leaving a scarred Shuichi and a confident Kokichi alone in the kitchen again. Shuichi froze up before speaking again. They're gonna kill me later. Kokichi laughed before shaking his head. Yep, no doubt. At least you won't die alone. Okay, and that was the end of Cooking with Saiouma by I'm Gay But Okay. It doesn't actually say I'm gay, but I actually added that, but by Gay But Okay on Archive of Our Own. I hope you enjoyed, and I deeply apologize for my stuttering. Sometimes it was written in, and other times I would accidentally misread something. But I'm glad you decided to click on this podcast, and once again, I hope you enjoyed. Bye! Also, I will continue to do readings with general audience because, yeah.